She escaped war in Ukraine, but her search for safety ended in tragedy. On a Charlotte train, a young refugee's life was taken by a man with a violent past who never should have been free.
Did you know that that person had been arrested 14 different times? 14 different times this guy was arrested, and he's just walking on the streets amongst everybody, women, children, other adults, and look at what happened.
Even his own mother says he should have stayed behind bars, and a leaked phone call with his sibling is escalating things further. Now, the judge who released him is under fire, calls for the mayor's resignation are growing, and in the middle of it all, a GoFundMe appeared, not for the victim, but for the accused.
I wasn't even gonna make a video about Iryna Zarutska until I saw a GoFundMe for her killer.
Out of respect for Iryna and her family, we will not be showing any video footage or images of the incident. On the night of August 22, 2025, at 9:46 p.m., a 23-year-old woman boarded Charlotte, North Carolina's Lynx Blue Line light rail, still wearing her uniform as she headed home from her job at a local pizzeria. She quickly found an open seat and began looking at her phone, completely unaware of the danger that sat inches away. The man who was seated behind her in a red hoodie appeared normal until about a minute later, when he began showing visual signs of distress. Then, at 9:50 p.m., he pulled out a switchblade, rose from his seat, and attacked the woman with it. He then proceeded to walk the length of the train with the weapon still in hand. The victim's name is Iryna Zarutska, and she is a Ukrainian refugee who fled her war-torn country for a better, safer life in America with her mother, sister, and brother in 2022. And her attacker? A 34-year-old homeless man who was fare-skipping at the time of the incident. Someone quickly made an effort to have the train stopped, and it was halted 2 minutes following the attack. That's when the attacker removed his sweatshirt and exited the train as it came to a stop. One man who came to Iryna's aid appeared to have done all he could, including removing his own shirt to hold against her wound. Sadly, it was already too late. She had become unresponsive, and 6 minutes after the incident began, when officials arrived, it was determined that Iryna had lost her life. The attacker was intercepted by police on the platform, arrested, and taken to the hospital for a laceration on his hand. But why would this man attack Iryna from behind, unprovoked? Though it's impossible to know exactly what was going through his mind in the 4 minutes between the time Iryna took her seat to when he began his attack, there is a lot more to the story than meets the eye. Iryna's killer had a long and violent criminal history that spans more than a decade. Since 2011, he has been arrested about 14 times on charges that included felony larceny, assault, and armed robbery. He served 5 years in prison for robbery with a dangerous weapon. In February 2021, shortly after his release, he was arrested again for assaulting his sister, who sustained minor injuries.
Did you know that that person had been arrested 14 different times? 14 different times this guy was arrested, and he's just walking on the streets amongst everybody, women, children, other adults, and look at what happened.
His convictions include armed robbery, assault, larceny, breaking and entering. He's a violent criminal that because he keeps going back, you know he don't have no intent to do right. Keep his in there. What are you thinking?
His instability escalated in January 2025 when, according to an affidavit obtained by the Charlotte Observer, police conducted a welfare check on him, and he informed them that a man-made material was controlling where he ate, walked, and talked. The document went on to explain that he wanted officers to investigate this device that he believed was inside of him. It added that officers advised Iryna's killer that the issue was a medical issue and that there was nothing further they could do. Their response made him upset, leading him to call 911. He was then arrested for abusing the 911 system. When Iryna's killer was brought before Magistrate Judge Teresa Stokes, she made the decision to release him without bond, relying only on a written promise that he would return for court. This, despite his decade-long record of violence and the obvious signs of mental instability as laid out in the affidavit. A forensic mental evaluation was later ordered, but it was never carried out. Instead of being monitored, treated, or kept in custody, the man was left to drift back into the community and free to board the train where he took Iryna's life. and people are expressing their outrage not just at the attacker, but at the justice system as a whole.
This is what happens when the American justice system decides to fail people, okay? Why on God's green earth is somebody who was arrested or charged with something 14 separate times allowed to be just out and about amongst regular people?
Many are placing blame on the judge who freed him back in January, saying that this was preventable had she only done more to keep him off the streets. Her blood is on the judge that let him go. So sad.
Released by Judge Teresa Stokes on a written promise to appear in court, he's free to commit this horrific crime.
This is not a man in need of hugs. He's a career criminal screaming, "I'm a menace." And yet, Judge Teresa Stokes, in her infinite wisdom, let him out on a promise to appear. A promise. Dude had a rap sheet thicker than a phone book, and you're banking on his pinky swear to play nice with society? Guess what? He kept his promise. He appeared on a train with a knife, and she bled out because of it. This wasn't a misunderstood man crying for help. He's a violent parasite that the system enabled, up until he killed. He didn't slip through the cracks. He breakdanced through gaping holes that our cowardly judges left wide open. So here it is. Iryna fled war to die on a train in Charlotte because our justice system treats violent criminals like they're misunderstood toddlers, and our media only reports what's convenient.
Congressman Randy Fine is vowing to make sure things change going forward, posting to X on September 7th. I'm going to introduce legislation to hold judges accountable when violent repeat offenders they release commit new crimes. It's easy to release criminals when you're protected by an armed bailiff at all times. The rest of us aren't so lucky. Those 12-plus judges that released Iryna's killer should have their day in court too. And it's reported that Elon Musk supports legislation that will hold judges accountable as well. Another supporter of this act noted, as someone else posted on another thread, if a bartender can be held liable for manslaughter for selling one too many drinks, then a judge should be held equally accountable for manslaughter for releasing repeat offenders. And a theory began to circulate that raised some questions about Judge Teresa Stokes' motives. What are you going to do about judges profiting off of releasing violent, crazy people? One X-user replied to Congressman Randy Fine while reposting a tweet that read, "It's been revealed that the same judge who last released Iryna's killer, Magistrate Judge Teresa Stokes, is also the director of operations at a treatment facility in Charlotte. The treatment facility in question is Second Chance Services, a mental health and addiction clinic offering peer support services, therapy, substance abuse treatment, dual diagnosis care, telehealth services, and court-ordered evaluations." Another user replied to Randy writing, "I guess the second chances at Second Chances are unlimited when the taxpayers are paying the bills, eh?" Alongside a photo showing 13 mugshots of Iryna's killer. And another X-user shared a side-by-side of the same photo of Teresa, writing, "Photo 1, person that releases criminals in exchange for treatment. Photo 2, person that owns treatment center." Continuing, they added, "Sounds like a conflict of interest, but I'm not a lawyer, just a lowly serf." And some are commenting that she did not even pass the bar exam to be in her position. She's not a lawyer either. And others shared this in TikTok comments as well. I just read on another TikTok that the judge who let him out hasn't even passed the bar. And though there is some truth to this comment, it is slightly misleading. In North Carolina, magistrate judges aren't required to be attorneys. They're appointed by a senior resident superior court judge and can serve without a law degree or bar license. Their role covers first appearances, issuing warrants, setting bail, and handling small claims. Teresa Stokes, as a Mecklenburg County magistrate, may not be a licensed attorney, but that isn't misconduct, as implied in the comments. It's simply how the position is structured under state law. But this judge wasn't the only one coming under fire. Some are calling for the mayor of North Carolina to resign following her statements regarding the incident.
Today, I saw the mayor's statement. She called this a tragic situation that sheds light on problems with society's safety nets. Said the killer has long struggled with mental health and suffered a crisis. Said we shouldn't villainize those who struggle with mental health, and that mental health disease needs to be treated with the same compassion as cancer. There was no mention of the killer's criminal record.
Charlotte Mayor V. Lyles, addressing the tragic stabbing of Iryna Zarutska on the Lynx Blue Line, said, and I quote, "We will never arrest our way out of issues such as homelessness and mental health." And I agree that arrests alone, like that of won't solve the root causes of crime. However, I do firmly believe that upholding the rule of law and rejecting permissive policies are critical to maintaining order and ensuring justice.
She should definitely resign because she's horrible. I live in NC, close to Charlotte, and local media didn't even cover it in part because of Lyles. And even the attacker's own family believes that he should have stayed behind bars. According to a report by Newsweek, his mother confirmed that she had him evaluated when he began showing aggressive behavior, and he was diagnosed with schizophrenia following his release from prison for an armed robbery conviction, adding that the courts failed by allowing her son to be walking free. And his younger half-brother shared the same sentiment, telling the New York Post, "I think they could have pretty much prevented it," referring to Magistrate Judge Teresa Stokes' laissez-faire attitude when handling Iryna's killer back in January. He continued, "He could do it again. They should still treat him for his mental issues, but there are consequences for his actions," adding that he felt his half-brother should suffer the consequences. He also informed reporters that their father has a long list of criminal charges, including breaking and entering, felony conspiracy, larceny and possession of a weapon, and their older brother is currently serving 27 to 36 years in prison for ending a 65-year-old man's life during a robbery in 2014. And the killer's sister has released an audio recording of her phone conversation she had with him following his recent arrest. In it, he can be heard blaming the material inside of him for the attack.
So you said something in your body did what?
Nah, the material, put it like this, the material using my body to stab the lady.
And so she just got stabbed.
Yeah. You know that's not me. I'm talking about just for no reason. But since they did that, now they gotta investigate the material my body is exposed to. Since they want to do all that, now they gotta investigate. It ain't. I don't have nothing. They just lashed out on her. That's what happened. They lashed out on her. Whoever was working the material, they lashed out on her.
He also added that he didn't even know the lady at all, and that's scary, ain't it? So, why would somebody stab somebody for no reason? And though this coincides with the details of his arrest in January, it may contradict what some people believe was some pretty damning words that can be heard following the attack as he walks the length of the train. Pointing many to believe that the whole incident was racially motivated. Others are saying that the rate of crime in the area of Charlotte has increased drastically in recent years. Ask anyone that lives in Charlotte. It's basically Gotham. If you're in Charlotte, call 911 right now. There's a pretty good chance they won't even answer. They'll call you back in 20 minutes. And in a post on X, Mayor Vi Lyles wrote that she had been thinking hard about what safety really looks like in our city. "I remain committed to doing all we can to protect our residents and ensure Charlotte is a place where everyone feels safe." Then there is Governor of North Carolina, Josh Stein, who tweeted his condolences for Iryna's loved ones before implying that the incident was an issue of policing, writing, "We need more cops on the beat to keep people safe. That's why my budget calls for more funding to hire more well-trained police officers. I call upon the legislature to pass my law enforcement recruitment and retention package to address vacancies in our state and local agencies so they can stop these horrific crimes and hold violent criminals accountable." But Will Chamberlain, a conservative lawyer and political commentator, wasn't ready to let the implications slide and replied to Josh's tweet saying, "What on earth are you talking about, Governor? Iryna's killer was arrested 14 times. The police did their job. It's your job to sign into law bills that keep career criminals in jail." And TikToker Liege Fair Lounge shared a couple stories that were sent to her after she posted a video covering the incident on her page.
I posted a video today about the tragic stabbing of Iryna Zarutska on the Charlotte Light Rail. Since then, I've received two powerful messages. One was from a woman who shared that she was brutally attacked in June near the same area, suffering a broken nose, 2 black eyes, and a gash in her eyebrow. She's still dealing with the aftermath, but says her report to the CMPD was completely ignored. She has documents to back up her story and wants to raise awareness about this bigger issue. The second message came from someone also in Charlotte who trains with cops and says politicians are tying their hands, preventing them from acting on suspicious behavior due to fears of being labeled racist.
Either way, the Charlotte Observer shared that the Charlotte Area Transit System, or CATS for short, admitted that they've been attempting to fill 35 vacancies within its contracted security company, Professional Security Services. PSS is actively recruiting, hiring, and training staff with the goal of achieving full staffing this fall, said CATS. And the feds claim that they would examine CATS safety plans, security spending, and any risks to operators and customers, and give them 15 days to be ready to outline those new plans. It's worth noting that there was no national outrage against this unprovoked attack on Iryna. Not at first. The crime happened in late August, but it wasn't until September that the nation started paying attention. For weeks, it barely made ripples outside of Charlotte. Local outlets covered it as another tragic crime on public transit, but the story stayed mostly contained to North Carolina. It wasn't until nearly 2 weeks later, after surveillance footage of the stabbing surfaced, that the case erupted into national news.
The mainstream press barely covered the story. CNN mentioned it once. The New York Times, nothing.
This delay in widespread coverage led many to the opinion that race was to blame.
But some media isn't reporting it. The New York Times hasn't reported on it. CNN hasn't reported on it. MSNBC hasn't reported on it. This is clearly newsworthy. It touches multiple third rails: race, immigration, Ukraine war, homelessness, and crime. So why aren't they reporting on it? Because there's a race-based double standard in the media. But why should I, a black man, care? Because we all should. We're supposed to be ending racism, not flipping who gets to be racist. In a race war to the bottom, no one wins. The division shouldn't be black versus white. It should be wrong versus right.
Where's CNN, MSNBC, Washington Post? Where's the wall-to-wall coverage on that? Oh, it doesn't fit the narrative. That's right. Almost forgot. If it was white and Iryna was black, you'd still be seeing live vigils and think pieces about systemic racism. But a refugee slaughtered by a repeat offender that the courts coddled? Crickets.
And it took some time, but when news of Iryna's attack reached the White House, President Trump called Iryna's attacker a madman and lunatic, adding that he had watched the footage of the incident.
Just got up and started. It's right on the tape. Not really watchable because it's so horrible, but just viciously stabbed. She's just sitting there. So they're evil people. We have to be able to handle that. If we don't handle that, we don't have a country.
He then spoke out again, this time from the Oval Office.
She was slaughtered by a deranged monster who was roaming free after 14 prior arrests. We cannot allow a depraved criminal element of violent repeat offenders to continue spreading destruction and death throughout our country. We have to respond with force and strength. We have to be vicious just like they are. We'll do what has to be done because we're going to make America safe again.
And whether the race of the suspect and the victim played a part in the story's coverage in the media, or if it was all a political game, others chimed in, asserting that they would care either way and echoing that it was due to his prior criminal history that they are angered. I don't care if he is white or black, but this dude has been in trouble with the law 14 times. Hold judges accountable. I would be just as outraged if a white guy did it. The magistrate Teresa Stokes should be held accountable. Outrageous. But then something unexpected happened that blew the minds of many. After Iryna's killer was arrested, it wasn't long before a campaign in his honor was started by his supporters.
To make it worse, GoFundMe pages popped up defending the suspect.
I wasn't even going to make a video about Iryna Zarutska until I saw a GoFundMe for her killer.
That's right. More than one GoFundMe was set up in support of Iryna's attacker, reportedly in an effort to cover his legal fees. The description on one of the pages read, "Raising money to assist with legal fees for Iryna's killer. Anything helps fight against the racism and bias against our people. Thank you for giving us a hand to push against the corrupt narrative." Another page that was titled, Raise Funds to Stop the Injustice Against Iryna's Killer, which went on to say, while what happened on the blue line was a tragedy, what we mustn't lose sight of is the fact that Iryna's killer was failed categorically by the judicial system and the mental health services of North Carolina, and as such is not entirely to blame for what happened. The pages were taken down by GoFundMe, but understandably, many were both baffled and angered by the campaign. I think they spelled murder wrong when they put racism on their crowdfunding explanation. Who would give this murderer money?
GoFundMe just removed fundraisers for the man accused of fatally stabbing a 23-year-old Ukrainian refugee on a train in North Carolina. This guy, 14 prior arrests, violent crimes, a criminal history so long it's shocking, and still someone set up a GoFundMe. Think about it. When a black person commits a violent crime, the first response from some groups is, let's raise money for him.
A spokesperson for the fundraising company told Fox News Digital, GoFundMe's terms of service explicitly prohibit fundraisers for the legal defense of anyone formally charged with a violent crime. Consistent with this long-standing policy, all fundraisers for Iryna's killer's legal defense have been removed from the platform, and any donors have been fully refunded. On Friday, August 29th, Iryna's killer appeared in court for the first time since the August 22nd attack, during which Iryna's uncle spoke to the judge and made a plea on behalf of his niece, reportedly saying, Iryna was a sweet angel. The accused has taken a very bright, beautiful woman from our family, and we are heartbroken by that. I asked the court not to release him and potentially be a menace to other people. And according to WBTV, it seems his words weren't taken lightly as the judge ordered Iryna's killer to be held without bond and undergo a competency evaluation. His next court appearance is scheduled for September 19th. But on September 9th, Russ Ferguson, U.S. Attorney for the Western District of North Carolina, revealed in a press conference that, on top of a Mecklenburg County murder charge, Iryna's killer would be charged with one count of committing an act causing death on a mass transportation system, a charge that carries with it the potential of life in prison or even the death penalty. The Charlotte Observer reported that his lawyer said he will file a motion for an evaluation of Iryna's killer's competency to stand trial because of his long history of mental health issues. So there is a possibility that he will not be seen as fit to stand trial. One thing's for sure, many in the public have already decided what his fate should be.
This forum has found you guilty. Every single one of my followers and subscribers have found you guilty. Me personally, the Midnight, has found you guilty, and we are sentencing you for the rest of your life in prison, and God willing, they send you to general population. Let the prisoners know what you have done, and let them deal with you accordingly.
As for Iryna, at the time of this video being made, a quickly rising GoFundMe in loving memory of Iryna to assist her loved ones with unexpected expenses has raised nearly $350,000. According to her obituary, she was a gifted and passionate artist who graduated from Synergy College in Kiev with a degree in art and restoration. She loved sculpting and designing unique, eclectic clothing that reflected her vibrant spirit. Iryna also had a deep love for animals and dreamed of pursuing a career as a veterinary assistant. It goes on to add that she will be remembered for her kindness, her creativity, and the lasting impression she left on everyone she met. Iryna was laid to rest on August 27th in Charlotte. Sadly, due to the war in Ukraine, her father was not able to emigrate with the rest of the family in 2022 and, according to a neighbor of the family, due to wartime rules, had to stay back. He didn't come for the funeral. Those who have been moved by the tragedy of Iryna's passing have started to rise up, including Owen McCabe, tech CEO and venture capitalist, who tweeted a pledge offering $500,000 and $10,000 grants to paint murals of the face of Iryna Zarutska in prominent U.S. city locations. And donations to the cause came pouring in from many, including Elon Musk, who replied that he would contribute $1 million. And Owen updated that he now had funding for nearly 300 murals and was in touch with 800 interested artists, adding, "We'll start to commission work court in a few days. Time will tell what sentencing will look like for the man who violently and without provocation ended Iryna Zarutska's life. But one thing is certain, we will remember her name.